Mr. Cecil Shillingford, good morning. Joseph Thomas. I want to congratulate you for your presentation, that of you, of course, and the PS Preview. I don't think much more could have been added to your contributions this morning. However, I have this question, or not a question really, but a concern, because I hear it being labeled out in the Dominican, in the society. And that has to do with relief, PS Preview. A lot of people are saying that the relief is not going to and is not handled by the people who are supposed to be handling that relief. You are on top of the relief situation. You are the person who is responsible for ensuring that people get relief. Give us some guidelines as to what processes and procedures are involved in the distribution of relief. We hear parliamentarians are involved and they shouldn't be involved in it. We hear this person is involved and party supporters of the government are involved in it and they shouldn't be involved. Give us some guidelines as to the process and procedure in dealing with the relief supplies.
Okay, I will defer to PS Preview on that, but I just want to say that in the whole disaster management aspect of things, when we put together a lot of these committees in the communities that are supposed to be handling certain things, remember Hurricane Maria was a first for us, an extraordinary hurricane. So immediately after the event, there were people who should have been functional. We couldn't find these people because of the road access, because of telecommunications. We couldn't find these people. So the government could not sit and wait until people could be found, people reported and what have you. So something had to be done. And that is where whatever system we have in place came from. If you have a situation where at least some things are functioning, some things are functional, and a lot of these people can jump into place right away, then maybe could avoid a lot of maybe some of the things you are alluding to. But we always have to understand that Maria was a first for us. We used to think it was Hurricane David, but it's no longer Hurricane David, it's Maria. And things had almost, if you want to say, collapsed in the sense of some of the systems and structures as per our national plan that were put in place. So I just want to say that as a preamble to what PS Preview is going to say.
Cecil, I don't think this was a preamble. This was really a response and really what I would like to say. But from our end, in terms of coordination, we've been working with a combination of groups and agencies. We've tried our best to work with the local authorities. As you would understand, not all communities have local authorities. And I've learned quite a lot during this process. We started off using the census, and I will tell you that our distribution was based on communities, utilizing the census and not based on constituencies. But even in the process of utilizing the census, we realized that there are a number of communities that are not represented or that are not listed individually in the census that would have called us on the hotline. So let's say there's a community between Bioche and Dublin, and perhaps they may not have been covered in Bioche and Dublin. So what we've had to do over the last few weeks is identify individuals, focal points and groups in various areas that could assist us with the distribution process. And as I have said before at previous briefings, we have really been getting this distribution done through a number of processes, utilizing a number of people and a number of groups. In most cases, we are working with the local authorities. Where there are no local authorities, there are some community groups, there are improvement groups, disaster committees. In some cases, there are no improvement groups, there are no disaster committees, so we've had volunteers from the communities who have come forward. There are some communities that are split up in certain areas, so what we've done is sectionize those communities, and we have had focal points in each of those areas. I can tell you Castle Comfort, for example, does not have a local authority, they do not have a disaster committee, so we've been able to identify individuals who have come forward in various sections of Castle Comfort. They've zoned out the area, and then we provided support to them through that system. And this is what we've done in a number of other areas. There are some communities where we have not been able to have a proper system within the community. So from the distribution side, we have utilized our own transportation and also the volunteers that are assigned to us, including the Jamaica Defense Force, to do door-to-door deliveries in these areas. So in the areas around Roseau, Lower Goodwill, Upper Goodwill, Pottersville, and a few other areas around Roseau, we've actually utilized door-to-door deliveries, utilizing our transportation and volunteers who are assigned to us. So as I have said, we are working and we have tried our best to work with the systems that are already on the ground, but as Cecil had said, in the initial days, we did not have the luxury of communication or transportation, but we've been utilizing the resources that we have available to us, and we continue to be in contact with, I have spoken to, message, WhatsApp, village council clerks, village council chairpersons, parliamentary representatives from both sides of the aisle. People are interested in knowing that their area is being covered, and we are in communication with all the communities in that regard. What we've also done, and I spoke about this already previously, is that the communities, we have ensured, or we are trying to ensure, that the collection forms that we've developed, that they are being utilized in the community. We have instituted a system where everyone who receives a package from their council or from the distribution committee signs indicating that they have received a package, and this information is provided to us. We can tell at the end of the day, if it's Eggleston, that they've received, that you have 200 households have received supplies for this particular distribution cycle. So again, no system is perfect, but from our level, we are doing our best to ensure that the supplies get to the places that they are supposed to go. We do have a system of accountability for our drivers, those who are assigned to us, and in some cases the communities, the councils and other distribution committees would send their own transportation. But we also have a form that the drivers sign indicating what they've received. A copy of that form remains with the distribution center, and a copy of that form is sent to the community. So we have instituted systems to ensure that there is accountability and that there is equity in the system, and as long as we are continuing this process, we will continue to do that. Thank you.
Okay, just to add a little extra on that, I myself am not too intimately involved in the relief distribution, except to keep myself informed of what is going on around. Relief is always a difficult thing to deal with. I can recall relief efforts way back in Hurricane David's time, and even when I myself was professionally involved in disaster management, some of the hiccups that went with the whole issue of relief. That's the part of disaster management I like the least. I wish we never had to do it, because there's always complaints. You always have issues where even people receive relief, they will try to tell you they didn't get anything so that somebody else could give them, and there's all these machinations going on with the whole relief efforts. In terms of the use of volunteers, I don't think anybody in recruiting volunteers would be asking people what church you belong to and what political party you're affiliated with and so on. If people volunteer, they volunteer out of the goodness of their hearts, and they are utilized. But I'm hoping that that is a wake-up call for our people, especially the people in the communities, that they have to take this whole disaster management issue seriously and ensure that they have systems and structures in the communities that are functional And that is one of the things I will push as far as the disaster office is concerned, that the staff go out to the communities and assist the communities in getting these systems and these structures in place, and ensure that they are not a hurricane season committee or another season committee, that they are functional committees and people can rely on them at any time. Any further questions? Yes.
Julian Morris, Channel 5 News. My questions are basically for the PS. Just a couple simple things I want to clarify. One of them is, I understand, and we've heard a lot about the idea of us returning to normalcy as quickly as possible, but then you have, on the other end, populations that will be probably needing relief for quite some time to come. I'm not sure for how long. So how do you guys manage this tension between, yes, we have to get back to normalcy, but there are pockets of the society where for some foreseeable future perhaps people will still be needing some level of assistance? That I would like to...
That should be very difficult. That should be very difficult. At one point we have to take a determination at what stage that the relief ends. As I said earlier, the relief cannot go on forever. So at some point, the government has to decide, look, we're going to stop the relief to all and sundry at this point, and we will continue looking at vulnerable groups. So you have elderly people, you have people already assisted by the state will continue to assist them. You have children, you have institutions. So if you are still receiving relief, it doesn't mean that because you're receiving relief, you just have to go on giving relief. If you say you're cutting the relief and relief is still coming in, then you provide them to institutions of the state like the hospitals, the prisons, the infirmary, and areas like that. So, I mean, I've been working in the region also, and I have gone to certain countries, and after a month I say to the authorities, you have to stop the relief, because if you don't stop it, you're going to cripple your economy in terms of your business community. I am one who indicated that for Tropical Storm Erica, we got too much relief, and we distributed too much relief until the private sector was screaming and they were about to collapse. So not because you continue to get relief that you should go distributing relief forever.
Yeah,
I'll still yield to the PS if she has anything else to say, but continue.
Sure yes, because I wanted to get a little more specific on tourism, because as she's here, let's take the opportunity. In a recent interview with the Minister for Tourism, he mentions a concern with the cleanup in Roseau, for example, where after the team, which is currently doing the cleanup, would go through and go around and do their cleanup, you would have certain store owners who are, later on coming in to recover, open up their place, dumping stuff again on the sidewalks and so on. I'm not sure how they're managing this right now, because I notice it's still happening, so I'm not sure how this is working out.
I wanted to follow up with that. You're going to be stopping the relief, and we understand that at some point you have to stop it. What happens to your stock in I wouldn't want to say stock in trade, because that's stock. But what happens to the stock that you have? What do you do with it? I mean,
the relief is already slowing down in terms of the amount.
What you get in.
The amount of things we are getting right now. But what I'm saying is, at some point, if you take a determination that you are going to stop the relief and you're still getting stuff, it's not going to be like the early days. And we have to also understand that Dominica maybe was one of the 10th countries hit this year. So we would not get the level of relief that we got for Tropical Storm Erica when we were the only country hit. So at some point, the relief will slow down. But what I'm saying is, if there's any residual, any small amount still coming in, the state will decide that it's providing it to the hospital, to the infirmary, other senior citizens' homes, the prisons, etc. But the relief just cannot keep going on and going on.
I'm sure you must have been aware that people are saying that stuff we got for Erica, still there.
Well, I'm not aware of that. I visited all the warehouses that are being used, and I'm not aware. I'm only aware that maybe there's some clothing in some warehouse. But again, if I had my way, no clothing would come to the country after a disaster situation, because it creates more problems for you in terms of management than anything else. I mean, I was on the port and I saw a certain group bringing in clothing, and I even told the port manager to have them put it back on the boat that it was coming in on, and I was almost accosted by members of the, well, not physically accosted, but with their tongue, verbally accosted, because of the comments I made. But left to me, I would not bring in all these second-hand clothes and everything people have in the States and elsewhere they want to dump on these third world countries. Yes.
I think I almost lost track of your first question. But I'm happy to talk about Roseau cleanup to start. We will be having a press briefing for tourism sometime next week. There's a lot happening that we need to speak about in terms of clearing of some of the sites. I can probably just say today that we've been working this week on clearing the Emerald Pool site, but I don't want to preempt our tourism press briefing, but I'll just give that general information. And today we are at Trafalgar. We are working with a team of 11 Cubans and also a team engaged by the Ministry of Tourism, and they have been working this week. The Emerald Pool Trail is almost back to normal as it could be in terms of access to the pool, and today and tomorrow we are working on Trafalgar, and we'll be moving to the various sites with the Cuban team as well as the teams employed or engaged by the Ministry of Tourism. As relates to the Roseau cleanup, this was a challenge that the Minister had highlighted. As you do know, the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal is responsible for the cleanup of Roseau in collaboration with Public Works. We have had a challenge where we have cleaned certain streets, and now there are individuals and commercial enterprises who are currently doing their cleaning, and they are now placing the debris on the roadside, but we are committed to continuing the cleanup, so we still have the cleanup crew. I think we have between 60 and 70 individuals who are engaged by the Ministry of Tourism who are continuing the cleanup around Roseau. We also have a number of trucks that continue to pick up the debris, but we do encourage people to do your cleanup within a certain time so that we can wind down and work on just the cleaning aspect of the city. There are a number of things that we need to do to get Roseau back up, and even at our tourism press briefing we'll talk about some of the urban renewal projects that we had planned that we still need to get on stream, particularly as it relates to the Bayfront and the Old Market for the receipt of cruise lines early next year. So it is a challenge, but it is something that we are committed to continuing with the cleanup as it relates to Roseau. So we are just encouraging the businesses and the residences who are still cleaning Roseau to ensure that that can be done in a timely fashion. If you require any assistance, please contact the Ministry of Tourism, and we really would like to ensure that we can move to another phase. Since we are talking about transitioning, we need to get the Bayfront back alive. We need to get the old market cleared, and that we can have vendors back in the market, and we need to be able to have spaces that are available to park and to move around in Roseau. And we know that the debris in some of these areas is creating some kind of obstruction. Back to relief. I mean, I'm one of these people who have to transition back and forth, and I have had to balance these two responsibilities over the last few weeks. But I must say that we will have no stock in trade, Mr. Joseph, because I can tell you that, and I have mentioned this before, the average turnover for us right now has been 2 or 3 days in terms of the actual receipt of supplies and distribution of supplies. Whatever we get in, we distribute right away. So there is not going to be a situation where we will have an accumulation of items that we have to figure out what we must do with it. As a matter of fact, this week we had a slowdown in terms of what was received, and we decided to use the time to do distributions, just as I said earlier, to the infirmary, to the other homes for the aged, to the We are working with Yes We Care, you know, for smaller targeted distribution with what we had available. So there is no accumulation of anything at any of our warehouses. Whatever comes in, initially we distributed straight from the port. So whatever came in, we cleared the containers, and trucks came in, trucks that we had engaged or trucks from the communities, and distributed from the port directly to the community. So there was no accumulation at any warehouse. Now that we've moved to warehousing, whatever comes from the port, as soon as we have access to the containers, we have a number of truckers who have been engaged, and they have been working with us pretty much full time for the last 3 or 4 weeks. They move the goods from the port to our various warehouses. We basically have 2 main warehouses. I've spoken about this before. And from the warehouse, we sort and load for communities immediately. And within 2 or 3 days, everything is out. We are in a position where we are calling our volunteers who are on the port to ask, you know, what do you have available today? If there is not enough available for distribution as the cycle comes up, then we would, you know, go back into the government procurement system. But I can assure you that all of the supplies that we've received, that we are distributing in the quickest possible time. We also, in terms of where we have challenges, it's probably with clothing that we've received in bulk that needs to be sorted, and in some cases, you know, we need assistance to be able to do that. But what we've been able to do, though, is if the non-food items, when we distribute food, we've been able to assign some of these barrels and boxes of clothing to communities, and ask that they sort and distribute in the community, because it's a challenge for us in terms of manpower to be able to sort the clothing that we receive. However, whatever we've received, we are distributing along with the food and water supplies that have been sent to the communities, and hopefully in the communities. And we do know that people are sorting in the communities and distributing in their areas. So that's my response to that. But any other supplies that we are receiving now, like I said, we are passing on. If they are non-food supplies, we are passing on to the relevant agencies. For example, we have received a number of items like adult diapers, for example, that we have distributed both to communities and to all the homes for the aged. So when we send items to the homes for the aged, and we do look out at the needs of these homes, and we would ensure that things that we have in excess supply, that they can be sent to the relevant agencies. The same with agencies that care for children. We have been receiving items for babies and children, and in addition to distributing those within the communities, we are also supplying to the hospital and to chances and to other areas where children are being taken care of.
One of the very early instructions from the Prime Minister was that we should not stock relief. The relief comes, send it out to the people at the same time, so we would not have the problem of managing warehouses and what have you. Soon as the stuff comes, take it out. That was very clear from early o'clock after Hurricane Maria. Do we have any further questions? Okay, if we don't, let me thank PS Prevo for being with me this morning. Let me thank all the radio stations and the social media groupings that have come together to broadcast this press briefing. And thank the media for being there, and also the staff of this unit for doing all the behind-the-scenes technical work to ensure that we have a good broadcast today. Just like to say thanks to all Dominicans and those from further afield who are viewing this broadcast, and have a pleasant day, everybody.